Hey everybody, Chris here. The new Grayscale Dogecoin spot ETF starts trading today. What does this mean for Dogecoin and how might its price react? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. We were live on Sunday evening. We were watching as the price had continued to move up during the day, and then right when the live stream ended, Dogecoin dumped back to where it was Sunday morning. That is how crypto goes. That's the kind of market that we're in right now. I refuse to draw the brown box lower. I'll show you that on the charts. And what about Bitcoin and another CME gap? I'm going to talk about that. So let's get into it. Let me show you the charts and the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Let me start here with the current Dogecoin chart. We're at 14.5 cents. That's right, 14.5 cents. Here was Dogecoin's trading on Sunday, making nice gains, higher and higher, moving up. And then right when the live stream ended, it dumped back down to where it was 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. So we lost all of that. Overnight, we did have a little volatility, a little up and down action during the Asian trading hours, but it's all settled back down at 14.5 cents. Zooming out, we're still down below the red box, which is down below the purple box. We had the dip that came all the way down to 13.3, recovered from that, but I don't want to draw the big brown box here yet. I don't want to be convinced that Dogecoin is just going to trade sideways here at this next lower level yet. So we'll see how that goes. Bitcoin is at 85.9, just under 86,000. Bitcoin has a similar trajectory, has been trading down, did dip down here to in the 80s, like 80,500 or so, has recovered since then, and we're trying to figure out what its next move is here. So let's take a look at it. Let's get into it with the news. Lark says, look, Bitcoin back up to 87,000. Well, now it's down to 85.9, so it didn't hold that 87. But it is up 8% in the past 2 days from that dip down. But do you think $80,500 was the bottom for at least this local move? Will Bitcoin ever go back, below 80,000 or not? We don't know what that future is. We don't know if this is a complete bear market yet. It is very bearish. The signals are, because Bitcoin dropped below the 50-week moving average, that we are in a bear market. But this could be a relief, at least the start of a relief rally, or it could be a full recovery and we're in an extended cycle. We don't know any of that going forward, but the overall market trend is still bearish. That's right. It is still bearish on this yellow line move down for Bitcoin. And this is really from like the 27th of October when we were up at $115,000 for Bitcoin. And it has been down, down, down. Now, a lot of this is a lot of the FUD going around. I'll get into a little bit of that. But that has generally been driving the market down, putting extreme fear in the fear and greed index. And there's just a lot of selling and profit taking. And even some for losses as well. They want to get out of the risk on asset that even Bitcoin is. And Doge has been a subject of that move as well, following along. We also have this new CME gap. That's right, from 85.9 down to 85.4, and some even go all the way down to the top of that candle and discard the wick, and maybe it's 85.1. So we could see Bitcoin filling this gap all the way down at least to 85.4, maybe down to 85.1. It's right now at 85.9, so it's just at the top of this gap as I'm recording this. CME gaps, hey, they keep filling, and here's a new one that just happened over the weekend. So we could see that on the short term. And then what's going on with MicroStrategy, Strategy B? A lot of FUD out there with all of this. I don't know, the Bitcoin treasury companies and the rules that, how much money is actually in the treasury company versus how much they make as a company, on whether they can be listed in indices and all of that. I think that is just all FUD, but certainly the MicroStrategy stock is taking a big hit. If you own a lot of the stock side of Bitcoin in MSTR, it's a tough sledding right now. And what's the history or what's the future going for MSTR? That's unknown. It's a risky stock right now. I wouldn't be in it right now. I'd look for a green candle on a little pump whenever Bitcoin does its dead cat bounce or little relief rally, and try and find something else, because this, again, if we're in an extended bear market and Bitcoin goes down, they've gone from the 50 to the now touching the 100 moving average, may drop to the 200 moving average on the weekly, which is down at like 55K. That would be even lower for Bitcoin, and that's what a lot of traders are talking about. So here's Trader Allen saying, look, he doesn't even have the 50 anymore on the weekly moving average because we're below that. Now it's the 100, which is this blue line. There's the 100-week moving average. And then I showed last week the 200 moving average, which was down here at 55K, which would be a target for the bottom of a bear market at 55. I still think it may end up just 68, 69K, bottom of a bear market indicator, measuring from the top at 126.2 down. That made sense to me. But there are some calling for the 200 down to 55K. But we always have the bulls as well. The ever bulls like Vivek here. Bitcoin about to go parabolic, right? Pull back, pump, pull back, pump, pull back. I don't know where he got 30% because that says 89 and we're lower than that already. So, and this pullback is from 35 down to the bottom at 37% already. Is this going to pump again? If we were in an ever bull market, we could see that. But right now, there are many, because of those moving averages, saying, nope, we're in a bear and we're now going down. And we're going to even have continually lower RSIs. If we look at the RSI, every time there's been this downward sloping line and the RSI has hit this, there has been a pump. And we're at that point again with extreme fear, as if we were in the bottom of a bear market. So a lot of indicators there thinking it's going to go back up. But meanwhile, the stocks, and in trading in general, we have the VIX. This is the volatility index. When it goes up, that is bad news for stocks, investments, and even crypto. This big spike that we had here in the VIX, that was all the tariff fears, right? February, March into April, the VIX spikes up, stock market went down, crypto went down, and we are starting to move back up again with the VIX, fourth green close in a row on the weekly on the VIX moving up. And if there's more big FUD that comes out, or bad economic data, or whatever else, this is primed for the VIX to spike up and stocks and crypto to drop again. So we'll be watching the VIX. Meanwhile, the odds of a December rate cut has jumped to 75%. So more and more, the thinking is that there is going to be a 25 basis point rate cut for the US Fed come December. So we're just a couple weeks away from that now. So that's some good news. But what are we going to talk about today? And it is the launch of the Grayscale Dogecoin Trust ETF. It's a spot ETF. This is a legitimate one, not like the Rex Osprey one. The Rex Osprey one, it wasn't even a one-to-one with Doge. Rex Osprey doesn't have to have just as much Doge as the ETF has. It's some lower percentage. I forget what it was exactly, like 57% or something like that, is all they have to have actually in Doge, and the rest they can be holding in bonds or cash, treasuries, different things like that. This is a one-to-one true spot ETF, all done legitimate through the SEC, and it is going to start trading today. This is Monday, November 24th, 2025. This is a big deal. Offers investors direct exposure to Doge, and Grayscale, of course, is a much bigger entity than Rex Osprey. The Rex Osprey one I've been saying is B level. This is the A league. This is big time. This is big. What does this mean for the price? Well, watch a guru. Here's why Dogecoin's ETF launch may not push its price. Well, we have all of these other negative things going on in the markets, right? I just covered all of that. All the uncertainty, the fear, all of that. Not a great time to be launching this ETF. I would have preferred it last month in October if we actually had an October, but because of the October 10th flash crash and all of the negativity coming in after that, the leverage traders and market makers and their control on this whole market, that probably wouldn't have been a good time either. But here we are, it's launching today. So what's going on with this? Well, ETFs have been a key driver for the 2025 market cycle. The Bitcoin and ETH ETFs hit new peaks due to increased inflows. However, those inflows have taken a hit over the last month, leading to substantial price corrections. And as we've seen, ETF holders, they'll sell. They will sell in a red market. And we've seen that big with Bitcoin and ETH. But with a Doge ETF now in the market, many anticipate the meme coin to hit new peaks over the coming months. However, that might not be the case. And as I've said right now, the current market plagued with high volatility. Investors are moving away from risky assets right now. So, and Doge, of course, has some of the highest risk in the market, being a meme coin. That is correct. Now we know Bitcoin had multiple highs since the ETF launch. ETH did not follow the same trajectory, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It took ETH nearly a year to hit a new all-time high. Doge may follow a similar trajectory. We'll see about that, but I have a difference in that as well. So we are in a bearish market tone, according to Watcher Guru. They're not saying a complete bear market yet either. There is a possibility the crypto market will pick up the pace over the coming months. Macroeconomic uncertainty may go down by early 2026. The Fed Reserve could decide to reduce interest rates further, and such development may lead to a rise in risky investments. And we've got the whole quantitative tightening ending in like a week and quantitative easing starting in a couple months. All of that could bring new liquidity into the market. So we will be watching all of that. But I asked Grok because for Grok, I was like, what's going on here? The first thing is, this is a conversion from a Grayscale trust. And how much has Grayscale accumulated to date in assets under management for its Dogecoin trust? Grok says $2.5 million. As of August 2025, the Grayscale Dogecoin Trust had $2.5 million in assets under management. August is the last time they officially announced. I went looking for any other information. I couldn't find anything. So $2.5 million. That is what is at risk. But then this has only been trading since January 30th, 2025, when this trust was created. And now they're going to convert the trust over to an ETF. We talked about that back in January. This was all set up to eventually be a spot ETF. So that launches today. For Grayscale, it's going to be called GDOG. Great name, Grayscale Dog, GDOG. Awesome, right? Well, so Ethereum, because we know Ethereum's price started going down when the Grayscale Ethereum spot started. It was a conversion from its futures. Well, how much did Grayscale accumulate in its Ethereum trust before it was converted to an ETH spot ETF? $9 billion. $9 billion, as opposed to $2.5 million in Doge. Well, that $9 billion had been locked up in this trust. And when the ETH ETF launched, right, the conversion of Grayscale, there were a lot of investors that had money tied up in this trust they couldn't sell out of. And as soon as it converted to a spot ETF, they could then sell. So there was a massive selling of ETH at that time. We talked about that at the time. I explained that. A lot of you don't remember or weren't here. I get that. But here we are now. So you can't compare how Ethereum performed when its ETF started with how Dogecoin may perform. Because this isn't a lot of money compared to, I mean, look at that. 2.5 million versus 9 billion. So that's the difference there. We'll see. I mean, right now, it's more about the current market conditions, I think, than how much money is tied up in this thing, because it's not a lot. And it's only been since January this year, where the ETH Grayscale Trust had been there for years, and there was a lot of money tied up. So that's how that works. Now, what do we see about Dogecoin going forward? Well, this is kind of a big deal. We also have 21 shares in Bitwise coming out with spot Dogecoin ETFs. Do not have the timeline for those yet, but they should be launching soon. And then, of course, what I'm talking about still is X money. That's what I think is the bigger catalyst for Doge. Even though Dogecoin will not be integrated on day one, Doge tipping is like, hey, X money with Dogecoin integration will connect the entire world, which is true. Dogecoin would be awesome on X, especially for international cross-border payments. One Doge equals one Doge all around the world. Elon wouldn't have to worry about money conversions, like from one currency to another, like all of that mess. It would just be Dogecoin. But that's not easy to do. I get that. But it's still, the possibility of that could still pump Doge when X money launches, even without Dogecoin part of it. So that's the big thing. And of course, what could happen if that happens? I mean, Trader Alan always shows these optimistic things. In a bull market, you would expect core support, pump, hit core support again. Do we get another pump? Unfortunately, we're kind of in a bear market. So that's most likely not coming. Now, we could still have a pump based on X money. I don't think the Doge ETF is going to cause this kind of pump. We're not going to see that, so don't expect that. Of course, we'll still get comments or ETF launches, Chris, and Dogecoin didn't pump. I didn't say it was going to pump. I'm telling you that now. I didn't say that. But X money could do that. We've seen that with Elon and Twitter before, and we could see something. Even in a bear market, it can still pump, like we saw back in October 2022 when Elon bought Twitter. There was a huge pump in Dogecoin. It went up like a 2.5x big pump. We could see that again, but not based on just the Grayscale ETF. But DOGe launches. It's a big thing. Doge will be in the news. Unfortunately, there's also an XRP ETF launching the same day today, and there'll be a lot of talk about that too. So DOGe doesn't get all of the spotlight. Too bad, but that's what it is. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this Dogecoin ETF, where Dogecoin is now? We'll be talking about it during our live stream on Monday afternoon, see how the day's trading went. Give the video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.